Started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to JINSA's latest webinar update on everything going on in the Middle East. I'm Blaise Mishtal, JINSA's Vice President for Policy. I apologize for the delay due to technical difficulties. I'm delighted to be joined by General Yaakov Amidror, a distinguished fellow at JINSA and former National Security Advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu. We were hoping to also be joined by General Aish, however, he's unable to make it due to other commitments. So, General Amador, it'll just be you and me this afternoon. I wanted to start with Lebanon and get an update from you on what exactly the situation is, because I think it looks different whether you're in Washington or Jerusalem or Beirut. Here in Washington, there was a ceasefire, yet another ceasefire announced yesterday. Hezbollah seemed to reject it. So what is your understanding from Israel of what the current situation in Lebanon is?
Just to make it clear that it is ceasefire, it is not. We lost a captain from the Armor Brigade a few hours ago. Anti-tank missile hit his tank and he was killed. We are fighting in South Lebanon. We crossed the Litani in the northeast part of the river. Near the Beaufort Castle. We are now controlling the area which is north of the Litani. In the center of this area is Nabatea, the biggest Shiite city in South Lebanon. If an order will be given, we can go down from this area when the Litani is in our left wing, and depends how far and how deep the decision will be to go now. The meaning of this movement, if will be taken, is that we are taking control of a big area which is north of the Litani, and the aim of such a step will be to neutralize the ability of Hezbollah to launch missiles, rockets, and drones from the area which is north of the Litani into Israel and against the IDF forces which are still fighting south of the Litani, moving towards the Litani in the western side of the area. We are not doing it in the classical military way because of the restrictions that the American asked us to take upon ourselves. I think that was a big mistake of the United States of America to connect Iran issue with Lebanon issue and to let Hezbollah to get out of the situation, because the Americans think that might hurt their ability to negotiate with the Iranians. And I think it's a big mistake. Lebanon is an issue for itself, and by giving the Iranians the ability to influence the situation in Lebanon in a way, the Americans in these negotiations are legitimizing the influence of Iran in Lebanon, in spite of the fact that in the negotiations between us and the Lebanese in Washington, it is clear that the main obstacle for any agreement, for any peace in Lebanon, for any future which might bring some life to this miserable people in Lebanon is if Iran will be kicked out of Lebanon and Hezbollah will be dismantled. Without these two actions, there is no way that Lebanon will succeed to achieve any agreement with Israel, that someone will be ready to risk his money and to invest in Lebanon and so on and so forth. So prerequisite for any arrangement which will bring Lebanon some help in the future after this devastating war is to get rid of the Iranians. They should be outside Lebanon. By the way, the Lebanese didn't asked the Iranian ambassador. They called him persona non grata, and they asked him to leave Lebanon, and he's still in the embassy. He didn't leave Lebanon. And so to get rid of the Iranians and to dismantle Hezbollah, both action cannot be taken if during the negotiations the Americans connect, as they did this time, between moving on with the negotiations with the Iranians and the situation in Lebanon. It's a huge strategic mistake to connect between the two. I know that the Iranians wanted to be connected. It's their interest. They want to legitimize their influence in Lebanon, but I think that here the Americans had a fantastic opportunity to say, guys, two different issues. One, we are negotiating with the Lebanese government in Washington. And the second one, about Iran, we are negotiating with the Iranians through mediators. I think that should be stopped, and that this connection should not exist anymore in the future.
Is the current Israeli military operation in Lebanon a response to Hezbollah violations of the ceasefire, or is it sort of a proactive operation to achieve Israeli strategic objectives?
First of all, the whole operation is a reaction to the war which was initiated by Hezbollah in 28th of February, when Israel and America, or America and Israel attacked Iran. We didn't touch Hezbollah. Hezbollah decided to help the Iranians by beginning to bomb Israel. So the whole war in Lebanon was initiated by Hezbollah. Since then, it's a ping pong. You never know what came first. What we try to do is to put Hezbollah to the north, that they will not have the ability to launch missiles, rockets. At the beginning, it was anti-tank missiles, and later on, even to the north, because the drone threat, which is coming from the north part of the Litani. And it's a war in which we are restricting ourselves because of the interest of the United States of America regarding Iran, but we are pushing Hezbollah to the north.
You said that it's not a regular military operation because of restrictions that the United States has asked for. Can you give us more details about what those restrictions are and what that means for the IDF operation?
Yes, for example, the command and control system of Hezbollah, the headquarters, the decision makers are sitting in Beirut. And the Americans ask us specifically not to act in Beirut. So we don't. The Americans don't want it to be a full wage war, that all forces that we have in Lebanon or in the north part of Israel will go into Lebanon and will take control of the area south of Beirut. It can be done. It is not. We are not doing it. We are moving very slowly because we don't want to put the Americans in the corner by doing something which is very big and very well understood as a big operation. It is very moderate, very slow, and because of that, the movements are very short and very slow. And as you know, it's very problematic for for forces on the ground to move slowly and to restrict themselves and to have some areas which are crucial to the ability of the other side to implement his plans that you don't touch because the Americans ask not to do it.
You said that the operational objective is to prevent Hezbollah's ability to fire rockets and drones. How far north does Israel have to go to achieve that? All the way to the Dahia, all the way to Bekaa? How far?
No, not all the way to the Dahia, but south of Beirut somewhere. The exact point is the military tactical issue. South of the Awali in area which, if will be denied from Hezbollah, the ability of Hezbollah to launch missiles and rockets will be very limited. They can use very long range missiles and rockets to launch them from the Bekaa or from north of Beirut, but the numbers that they still have are very minimal. Here, I think it's a place to make a remark about the situation of Hezbollah. Hezbollah, we succeeded in the war before the end of 24 to destroy between 2/3 to 3/4 of the capabilities of Hezbollah to launch missiles and rockets. It's about reducing the number of missiles that they have, the number of launchers that they have, and so on and so forth. People are used to say, but with the time moving on, Hezbollah will rearm itself. And I think that it is people who don't understand how significant is the change on the ground. Since the end of 24, the land bridge, which was probably the most strategic, the best strategic achievement of Iran, to build a land bridge from Tehran through Iraq, Syria, into the Mediterranean, Beirut. This bridge does not exist. Syria was taken out of the bridge, and without the cornerstone of Syria in the bridge does not exist. The Iranians don't have a way to rearm Hezbollah. They can smuggle through Syria here and there something, but not in the numbers that had been before, the part of their efforts before the war. Syria itself, which was the backyard of Hezbollah, which provides Hezbollah with weapon systems, which was the hub for transferring weapon system which came from Russia and from Iran into the hands of Hezbollah. All that system does not exist. Of course, the Iranians can bring money to Lebanon, and if the Americans, based on the agreement, will lift the sanctions, more money will come to Lebanon and more money will go to Hezbollah, and Hezbollah will have more resources to recruit more members to Hezbollah. But that cannot bring with the money, does not bring the weapon system, which is supposed to come somehow. In the past, it was clear they are coming from Iran and from Syria. There is a direct connection between Iran and Lebanon. Syria is the backyard of Lebanon and supplying Hezbollah, whatever Hezbollah needs. All that does not exist anymore. It's a totally new situation. Hezbollah was squeezed between Israel and Syria. The new Syrian regime hates Hezbollah more than us, ready to kill more Hezbollah members and affiliated families and so on and so forth, more than us. We have restrictions as a democratic country. They don't. And these people know that the main force which butchered them during the war inside Syria was Hezbollah. The number of casualties in the Sunni side is not known. It's somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million. More than 5 million had to leave their places and became refugees inside Syria, outside Syria, thanks to the efforts of Hezbollah in Iran, with help from the Russians, which have been the air force of those boots on the ground, Hezbollah and Iranians. So Hezbollah today is squeezed between Israel and Syria and cannot rearm itself. It's a legend. Yes, here and there probably they succeed to smuggle something from Syria into Lebanon, and maybe in some place they are making some efforts. What they make new, and this is the new threat that Israel is facing, is drones. Not in big numbers, but smart drones, and they use the fact that the IDF is on the moving inside Lebanon, and they are hitting mainly IDF facilities or soldier or forces. Few times they are hitting communities in the other side of the border inside Israel, but this is the minority. And we are making huge efforts to produce good answers to this threat. I believe that within 3 months, you will see that we have some new ideas which will be implemented on the ground. Will it be 100% solution? Probably not, but it will reduce the number of casualties, the number of Israelis that will be hurt by the drones. And, it's a kind of a race between the defender and the attacker. And we are learning. We made a mistake. We didn't prepare ourselves in time. Now we are making huge efforts to find a solution.
To play devil's advocate, General Amadrour, if Hezbollah has been cut off from the Iranian weapons supply, as you just said, they can't rearm. Why is an operation of this size going this far needed now when the IDF has gone further into Lebanon than it did during Operation Northern Arrows in 2024? There was a year of a ceasefire where Israel seemed to believe that whatever degradation of Hezbollah was accomplished during Northern Arrows was sufficient, didn't require further military action at the time. So why this big operation is needed now?
I don't think that someone in Israel thought that it is sufficient. I remember a meeting with one of the commanders of the IDF in which we exchanged our views. It was almost a year and a half ago, immediately after the ceasefire, before the first attack on the Iranians. And it was clear in this conversation that we will have to make chapter 2 in Lebanon because, yes, we succeeded to degrade the capabilities of Hezbollah, but Hezbollah was stronger than Hamas before the war because they had, between 60 to 100,000 missiles and rockets, and even if we succeeded to destroy 2/3 of them, of that, the meaning of it is, I understand, is between 20 to 30,000 rockets and missiles that remain in their hands. So it was understood in Israel that chapter 2 will be needed. We didn't take into account the situation in which the Americans are making such a big mistake in connecting the negotiations with the Iranians with the situation on the ground in Lebanon. We tried to help as much as possible to resume the negotiations in Washington because we think it's very important to bring the Lebanese to make the commitment. And if Hezbollah this will be dismantled by the Lebanese, it's the best solution. I'm very pessimistic about their will and capability, but if that will be achieved, it's a fantastic situation. But if not, it should be done by force.
You said that peace will not come to Lebanon until Iran is kicked out and Hezbollah is disarmed. You just sounded pessimistic about the Lebanese being able to do it themselves. Is that something that Israel can accomplish by itself militarily? Is that the ultimate objective of this operation?
The answer is no. We understand our limitations. It's not Gaza. In Gaza, we can say we will not finish till Hamas will be obliterated totally. People will remain there, but the organization will not exist. Not a military organization, at least. We cannot say the same about Hezbollah. We are not going to launch a ground operation in Lebanon, in Beirut, or in the Bekaa. And many parts of Hezbollah are both in Beirut and in the Bekaa. What we can make and should make is to make the organization weak enough that we can act in Lebanon as we did since 2012 in Syria. every time that we had an intelligence, we bombed the facility which we learned from the intelligence about. And by that, we stopped the Iranians from building Hezbollah 2.0 under their direct control. That was the idea of the Iranians, to build another organization under their direct control in Syria. So the ring of fire around Israel will be something that Israel cannot deal with. Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Iranian organization in Syria, Hamas and Islamic Jihad in the south. And we, since 2012, we have been very active in Syria. We succeeded to destroy any attempt that the Iranians did to build a facility, a force, capability inside Syria. I think that we should be in the same situation regarding the future of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Whenever we will have an intelligence about factory of Hezbollah, weapon systems of Hezbollah, training of Hezbollah, whatever, we will feel enough confidence and will not be deterred by the capabilities that Hezbollah has, and we have to destroy it, to kill them, and so on. So for that, we have to make Hezbollah much weaker. And that can be done by the IDF. In some areas, we will take control on the ground. In some areas, it will be by the Air Force. In some areas, it will be by special forces. But at the end of the day, we should end the war with a clear situation in which, whenever there is a need, the IDF can and will act inside Lebanon. Of course, if the Lebanese government will make what they promised to do, and they disarm Hezbollah, and we will have an agreement with Lebanon, that will not be needed. But assuming the pessimistic option that the Lebanese army is not doing what it's supposed to do, and the Lebanese government cannot control Lebanon, Israel should be in a position to prevent Hezbollah from rearm itself by force.
Will creating that condition require maintaining Israeli troops inside of Lebanon? And if so, in what part?
The answer is yes, and probably it will be from the Litani south.
I think I know the answer to this question, but let me ask. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has suggested the creation of a new international force to replace UNIFIL to secure Lebanon and I guess disarm Hezbollah. Would that be a suitable arrangement for Israel?
I hope to hear better jokes from a very important guy like the Secretary of the United Nations. UNIFIL didn't contribute anything to the security of Lebanon, to the security of Israel. It was an organization which was used by Hezbollah to hide behind it. It's a huge mistake to have another organization. We should get rid of these organizations. You know, I was very young soldier in '67, the Six-Day War. I was in a paratrooper battalion, which was responsible to take the higher area of the Gaza Strip, Ali Muntar. And when we moved into Gaza, we got an order to stop, to cease fire, because the United Nations is evacuating its forces from the Gaza Strip. So an Indian force going with rifles down to the land to show that they are not going to use it. They marched out very nicely, by the way, like a parade. But it was the first example in my long history in the Middle East wars that I saw how the United Nations forces are irrelevant to the situation when they are really needed.
You told us about some of the ways that the IDF is restraining itself at American request and the way it's conducting this operation. But what is your sense of the general U.S. position in regards to IDF operations in Lebanon, specifically given that we heard reports about the testy phone call that happened this week between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, where President Trump seemed to be, not particularly happy about Israel's role in Lebanon.
I can understand the American position. I don't agree with it. I think it's not a wise position, but I can understand. The Americans try now to achieve an agreement in which the Hormuz Strait will be opened, and then the negotiation will be focused on the nuclear issue in Iran. That's what the Americans are saying, and I believe them. This is what they want. The Iranians can use, and probably will use, the war in Lebanon as an excuse not to sign the agreement. Saying, okay, we have an interest, you have an interest in the Hormuz, we have an interest in Lebanon. What is about our interest? And I think that the answer of the Americans should be, it's not connected. The war in Lebanon will continue. The Israelis will do what they think they have to do to secure their security. It was initiated by the Hezbollah, and Hezbollah will pay the price. And you don't have any interest in Lebanon. You are it's a sovereign state with the government. We are negotiating with the government. The Israelis are negotiating with the Lebanese government. Don't interfere and don't put yourself on the neck of the Lebanese. What you are doing with Hezbollah. The Americans didn't say. The Americans allowed the situation to move towards kind of a connection between the two fronts. And of course, the Iranians are using it. And when the Iranians are using it, the pressure is on the Americans, which want a negotiation and an agreement. So I can understand the Americans' position. I don't agree. I think it's a bad position. Bad for America, bad for Lebanon, bad for the Middle East, because it's legitimized the involvement of Iran in Lebanon, which I think it's a big mistake. So I can understand the Americans. I don't agree, and I think that the Prime Minister had to make it clear that it is the interest of Israel. We are losing soldiers every day. Almost every day we have at least one soldier or officer killed in Lebanon. And it is our interest to move on, not to in a position in which they can identify us and kill us, because we are not moving.
Well, General, I have a couple more questions for you, but I also want to open up to the audience. So if you have any questions you want to pose to General Amadror, please feel free to submit them using the Q&A function in Zoom, and I'll read them out. General Amadror, I guess in light of what you just said, under the Biden administration, we used to talk about the U.S. bear hug of Israel, which was both supportive and constraining at the same time. Is there a danger of the relationship with the Trump administration developing into a similar bear hug?
I don't think so. I think that with Biden, it was a strategy. Here, it's a tactical issue. The Americans need quietness when they are negotiating with the Iranians, and they believe that what they are negotiating is about the exporting all the nuclear materials from Iran, something which is one of the most important interests of the state of Israel. So they can think that it is wise to say to the Israelis, don't put yourself in a situation because of you, we will not have an agreement with the Iranians, when at the end of the agreement, we believe that we can take out all the nuclear materials. I think that this is the big difference between the no of the Biden administration and the no of the Trump administration. In spite of the fact, I think that this is also a big mistake. The Americans should not give the Iranians the benefit of connecting between Lebanon and
Um, and how would you interpret what we saw from Iran on Monday and Tuesday, the launching of 35 missiles and drones, and claiming that they had walked away from negotiations? How should we understand what they're trying to accomplish with that?
I'm within negotiations with the Iranians since the 90s. I think that I had a very important role in bringing the Iranians to the negotiations when everyone told me that about nuclear, they are not about their nuclear project, they are not going to negotiate. And we, with a lot of help from America, maybe America made the main efforts to bring them to the table. We helped from the outside by intelligence and ideas and so on and so forth, but at the end, it was done by the Americans. I was part of the Israeli team, which was coordinated the negotiations with the Americans when they negotiated with the Iranians. And I was there when the Americans decided to lie to us and not tell us that they are negotiating directly with the Iranians and are giving up and changing the policy from dismantling to postpone and monitor. So I have huge experience. I didn't by myself made the negotiations, but I was there when the Americans and others, the P5+1, negotiated with the Iranians. And I think that the Iranians try to do something, and apparently they are succeeding. First of all, they want to gain time. The more time they were gaining, they will be better prepared for the next round if it comes. They are taking out all the missiles and the launchers that had been in tunnels, which we succeeded to destroy the access to. So they will have much more. They are reorganizing themselves. They learn many lessons and they using that to enhance their capability. So they need time to be better prepared. Second, they understand that the longer time that they will achieve, the less is the chances that the Americans will resume the war. It's the Mundial, it is the elections in November, or whatever. They understand that the more that they will be close to the midterm elections, the chances that the president will resume the war are going down. And by getting time to reorganize themselves and to postpone the war maybe to the point in which it will not be resumed forever, I think that they are playing very well. And they understand that the Americans want an agreement and they are not ready to risk the negotiations. So they can be more free to act against allies of the United States of America. They understand that there's some red lines that should not be crossed. For example, they didn't attack Israel. But those little countries or big countries which are much weaker than Israel, they can use to threat the Americans indirectly. In a way, if you want to understand it, is the North-South Korea situation. Who was all the time against bombing North Korea? South Korea. Why? They understood. Because the North Koreans gave them the opportunity to understand that if the Americans are bombing the nuclear facilities, they will destroy Seoul. And they didn't want to take the risk. And what the Iranians are doing is exactly the same. They are telling the Americans and they are telling to the neighbors, tell the Americans not to resume the war because we will suffer. We, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and so on and so forth. So in a way, the Iranians tried to build a Korean situation, and you know what? They didn't fail. In a way, they succeeded to do it.
Well, if you want to read Jinsa's take on the current situation with Iran, I'd commend to you Mike Makovsky's and my recent insight that should be in your inboxes today or on the Jinsa website, arguing that Trump is at risk of losing the war on Iran and needs to act forcefully to reverse that. But General Amador, let me turn now to a question from Jinsa's John Hanna, who asks, would you support a well-resourced and dedicated program under CENTCOM's command to train, equip, and advise the best forces of the LAF, the Lebanese armed forces, for the specific mission of confronting Hezbollah? Could it succeed?
I don't know if it succeeds or not, but if someone in Lebanon says guys, do that and we will do the job, I think that we should take the risk.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening, General Amador. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Please check out jinsa.org for all of our latest analyses. And with that, General, have a good night and wishing everyone else a
Thank
good
you very much.
afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.